All right, we are live. What is up, everybody? I'm excited for another underground crypto deep dive research show. Today's going to be a good one. It's about modular blockchains. What does that even mean? Well, that's your crypto IQ. That is the mission of this channel. Let's do the mic check real quick. Says something went wrong. That's not cool. All right, mic check is good. Always got to make sure that mic is working. All right, guys, well, we're going to hop right into it. We're here on Crypto Bubbles, and you can see a lot of red behind me. And looks like XPL down like 5.7%, but that thing had pumped pretty hard today. I saw this morning all the alerts of it hitting all the different exchanges. I knew that thing was going to pump today, and I still managed to not trade it. MYX and IMX both down. SPX down. Pretty much everything we were talking about yesterday. Aster's even down 1.3%. Meme Core is up 1.6%. Not a whole lot. Flare, World Liberty Finance. You don't see a lot of green. I mean, 0G with the 5.5% rise. Oh, we're on the hour. What are we doing? Let's pretend like that didn't happen. So let's look at the daily, right? Flare is down 13%. IP, which is Story, down 26%. That's a little bit of a pullback there. Aster's down 17.9%. 0G, a new project we've been talking about, 22.4%. I got to make sure I click the daily before we go live. And everything else just pretty much red. I mean, on the daily, what do you have that's green? MYX and OKB. And what is this tiny little bubble? The Leo token. And that's pretty much it. So Bitcoin has pulled back a little bit. Let's talk about it. But first, let's talk about the crypto fear and greed index. Still at 44, just where it was the other day. Compare it to crypto rank, also at 44. So we're at the point where I'm going to probably stop bringing it up. And I'm just going to consider this fear and greed index the same as the other fear and greed index. So let's do our quick little go over the prices. So Bitcoin right now at 109,000. Just continuing to pull back. I mean, you can see the little chart in the corner. It looks pretty ugly. Now, this isn't the first time that crypto has done that, or crypto. This isn't the first time that Bitcoin has done it. I mean, let's be honest. The Bitcoin price action pretty much is all of crypto markets, that is. And Crypto Maniac in the house. What's up, brother? I appreciate you being here right from the jump. And he says it's a brutal out here. Yeah, it is. But let's all take a deep breath and remember that Bitcoin has done this to us plenty of times. Now, we are coming up at the end of the 4-year cycle like we've been talking about a lot. So how much longer can it hold out on us? Who knows? I say it almost every day. I like to see Ethereum above 4,000, and it's not. It's at 3,889. Is it going to quickly turn around and reclaim, or are we headed for some depths in crypto? Everybody says September's the worst month. Do we just need to get through September, hopefully not dump too brutally, and then make it all up in the next month so that we can kind of get what we're really all looking for in the 4-year cycle? XRP under $3. All the levels that I keep saying I want to see, I'm not seeing today. $2.75 for XRP. BNB back under 1,948. It had been setting all new time highs. Solana under 200. Hate to see that. 193. Dogecoin at 22 cents. Cardano 76 cents. Right when it looked like Cardano was about to break $1 and make a little bit of run. Of course they pulled it back. They do not want the Cardano gang to win. Cardano Maxis. Chainlink $20.19, and I hold Cardano. I'm not making fun of you guys. I am a holder as well. Avalanche, $28.74. Reef says the red wedding. That's hilarious. Hey, they say buy the blood in the streets, even if it is your own blood. But how many dips can you buy before you're out of money? That is the big question. I think that's the question everybody's asking is where do I get more capital? And they're probably starting to doubt themselves a little bit. And that's when Bitcoin loves to turn around and run. I stay with the narrative that all of this is to shake retail out so the big institutions make all the money and then retail can come back in at the end. You know what? I've thought about this before, but this is pretty perfect. I want to pause and say this. If retail all buys and holds, right, then who are they going to sell to in the top of the market? They really need to shake all of retail out, run the price up themselves with all their money and institutional money, have the FOMO from all the people who missed, who don't understand 4-year cycle especially, and then they all come running crashing back in at what's the top of the market that they don't know that it is, and then the institutions have somebody to sell to. But if everybody was mostly already in with their capital and they didn't get scared and sell out due to the shakeouts, who are they going to sell it to? I think that we're onto something there. Anyway, Sui, $3.12. Hyperliquid, $40.51. And we'll stop there. But anyways, the big takeaway here is Ethereum's under 4,000 and Bitcoin's under 110,000. Now, in some perspective, remember when we were all wishing Bitcoin would just get above 100,000, and then it did briefly, and then it wasn't for a long time, and then it did again briefly, and then it wasn't for a shorter time. We are so far still holding above 100,000. But when you get to 125,000, it doesn't seem that great. Are we that forgetful? Let's go into what is trending, and we will pull it up on both places. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Yeah, I like the brain emoji. Yeah, that really just hit me. Now, I've thought about, of course, for a long time that, you know, they're trying to shake retail out. But it didn't really connect the dot to why they would want to shake retail out so bad, because they seem so desperate to make sure that the common man doesn't win anything. And I don't think it's because they don't want you to win. I think it's because they want to sell it to you, which you won't be winning because they're going to immediately crash the market after that. But I don't think it's so malicious to make sure you don't win. It's just you're their dumb money who they're going to provide all the liquidity so that they can cash out and run off into the sunset, rinse and repeat. And today, for anybody who missed it, we're talking about modular blockchains. Going to really raise our crypto IQs. I know a little bit about modular blockchains, but I'm definitely going to be raising my own crypto IQ. Remember, this is community. We're here deep diving, researching together. I'm not here to be Mr. Know-It-All. Look at me, I know everything about crypto. It's really for us all to come together under one umbrella, create a community, and grow together. So let's see if there's anything at this point for Reef and Crypto Maniac, who I know are here. If anybody else is lurking, drop a comment. Definitely gotta say, we've been over a lot of these projects a lot of time. I mean, if you've been coming here even a couple days a week and you don't know what Lena, Aster, and Avantis is, then I don't know what's going on. Now, Maverick Network, we have covered a couple of times. This is the project that I went on my long tandem about how they're getting, what was it, a $2 billion deal? A deal in the billions, and that seems to be like their whole marketing is all about the layer 1 blockchain powering a signed $10 billion tokenization deal. Okay, so it's $10 billion. This is very weird marketing, in my opinion. Like, what else do you got? Okay, you got a deal for $10 billion. Okay, but like, what else do you got? And they want to build secondary markets, which is cool. I have the sneaking suspicion, or the speculation, if you will, that this company Fireblocks built this Maverick company, and they're just giving themselves a $10 billion deal that they knew they were going to get, and now they're just using it for marketing. And it's good marketing, I guess, because right now it's not that high. Let's see, do we have it over here? So they don't even have it as trending on CoinGecko. But anyways, what was the market cap? That's really what I was looking for. Maverick Network's market cap is $3.7 million. So you could do your own thought here. If they get $10 billion into the company and 1% of that money makes it into the market cap, if they're smart, they would put at least $1 billion in their market cap. You're going to have some serious X's on this project. And I think that's kind of what they're hyping up. It almost feels like it's not going to be the case because of the way that they're going about trying to make that the marketing scheme. I don't know. Those are my opinions, but it could be a good win. If there was a time to get in, it was not a technical analysis show, but you can see this thing is beat down to the ground. I mean, can it make lower lows? I mean, I guess it could lose more money, but it's only $3.7 million. So for something, here's another thing to think about, because we're all about raising the IQ. How often do you see a project with this small of a market cap trending day after day? Why aren't people buying it? Shouldn't it have gone up? to at least a $5 or $10 million market cap because it's supposedly one of the most searched, right? Let's go back. What category was it in? I've seen it on CoinGecko several days. So top 20 searched coins in the last 7 days. And this thing has been here for at least the last 3 or 4 days. Yeah, because I have it written over here, and this is from 3 days ago. So the big point being, how does it have such a small market cap and it's still trending every day? Why aren't people buying it? Do people just not really know about it? Are they waiting to see what happens with the deal? All good questions that one should probably ask themselves. All right, we'll kill that. We have been over this project several times, but I just wanted to say all that. Now, XPL had a bit of a run today. This morning, like I said, I woke up and I noticed that it was getting listed all over the place. I didn't really know what it was, although we've gone over it, but I'm not 100%. It says it's a stable coin protocol. How many stable coins do we need? Now, it's XPL. I don't know why they chose that ticker. Maybe because it's very close to XPR, XRP. XPR is a project as well, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, because it's close to the XRP ticker, you know, you got the X in front. I don't know if that's what they were looking for. Already has a $2.3 billion market cap. Very interesting. And where's their website? Let's go there. Yeah, redefining how money moves. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with crypto rank. I don't know if anybody can tell. Plasma is the high performance layer 1 blockchain purpose built for stable coins. So this thing is all about stable coins. We absolutely did look at it yesterday. Has anybody noticed that we look at stuff for a day or two and then all of a sudden they're trending and they're pumping? That's been the case for Aster, MYX, AEVO, AEVO is the ticker. And even Avantis we looked at before it started pumping. Now it's all about that lighter. I'm in the middle of filming another video for lighter. How many people drop something in the comments like a 333 or something if you watched my video on lighter? If you didn't, I don't know what you're sleeping on. I'm making another video about it because there was a really good interview done by a very highly respectable traditional finance person. He does quantum investing. Corey Hoffenstein did an interview with Vladimir Novakovsky, who is the founder of Lighter, which is another perpetual DEX that hasn't fully launched yet. This is sauce, in my opinion. This thing is looking to boom, and they're already saying it's going to have somewhere between a $2 to $4 billion market cap right out the gate. So how much room it's going to have to run, that I don't know. But it'll already have quite a bit of money in it when it comes out. And everybody wants to know about airdrops. And they'd have like a point reward farming system. That'll be in a separate video. I'm going to do 3 videos on this lighter because I think this is the big move here. Crypto Maniac and Reef said they both watched it. What were your opinions? Drop me even a one-liner of, you know, what you thought about that video. Was the information too fast? Was it too punchy? I wanted it to be punchy, but I was hoping I didn't over-edit it. Just want to know how you feel about it generally. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I love feedback, good or bad. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to be all over that project. We're going to be following it. 3 videos. And then we'll see what else comes from there. Maybe a couple reels as well. So anyways, this plasma have been doing pretty good. We're on the 1 minute chart. That doesn't look fabulous. But when you move to even the 30-minute chart, and why do we go from 1 minute to 30? I'd like to look at like a 5-minute chart. That would be nicer. And look at this thing. This thing has done nothing but pump all day. And had a lot of things to do today. I had to take my son somewhere. I had to hit the gym for a couple hours. And I really just didn't focus on it. And it pumped all day. When I saw it getting listed this morning, I knew it was going to happen, and I still kind of forgot about it and missed it. Anyways, y'all don't want to hear about the trade that I missed. OG Labs, another one we've been talking about a bunch. There's like 3 good-looking projects on my radar that haven't, you know, fully launched yet. 0G did launch. We did look at it before it launched. And now it's already launched. And here is what's going on if you have the hourly chart. So, I mean, it pumped up big, pulled back, flagged out, pumped up big, and it's just slow bleed down. Has it bottomed out? You got this little double bottom right there. almost like shoulder, head, and shoulder. Again, it's not technical analysis, but I got a little bit of life revision in me, just a little bit. Crypto Maniac says, I thought it was good. Hey, I appreciate that feedback. I spent way too much time on it. I know I've said that a lot of times, but you really just don't think about how long it takes. I used to make a lot of pre-recorded videos. It's all I did for the channel. I'm loving doing the live stream because I don't have to do all the editing. But anyways, Zero Gravity Labs is pretty interesting. Where is it going to go from here? I don't know. It's still under $1 billion in market cap. And then the other question is, if Bitcoin is going to do nothing but dump for the next couple of weeks or days or whatever, does it really make sense to get into these other projects? I mean, I heard that Crypto Lifer just went back into Aster again with like 50 racks. So he's serious business. And I love to see that dedication he has. But he must think that it's going to pump and Bitcoin's going to dump. You know, are they going to decouple? That'd be very interesting. Somnia Network, I think Friday, we're going to have our GameFi, right, stream, which is what we do on Friday, which is tomorrow. Checking the watch, double checking I'm on the right day, because I'm terrible with dates and times. I have no problem admitting it. I really am. But anyway, Somnia Network is a gaming layer 1, and we're going to be going all over the ecosystem of this coin. So if you're interested in any of that, I'm talking about it. I might as well pull it up real quick. We're not going to go in deep with it because that's going to be saved for Friday. I don't really get this part of their website, though. It takes way too long. Lives are the way to go. They really are. But I don't want to sleep on some of that pre-recorded video, because I mean, I was getting some gems, and it gives me the opportunity to really sit and research and put it all together. It's one thing for us to sit together and research. I mean, that's what the live stream's all about, and we cover a lot more projects, but I don't get to zoom in and hone in on one project, really do my research, and like present it to you. I don't know. Maybe some people think that's valuable. Maybe some people don't. I have been really surprised at how many people watch the live streams after I'm not live anymore. And I think that's probably because we're giving them a good, category or narrative every day. Anyways, before I go on a tangent here, this is the ecosystem of the Somnia, right? Yep, Somnia Network. And it's all about gaming. We really need some serious gaming platforms, because a lot of people are claiming they want to be, the ecosystem in crypto or blockchain technology for gaming, and a lot of them I'm not seeing them. I'm seeing them fall short. So I really want to see this project succeed. That's really all this that we're looking at here is all different projects, and we would spend Friday going over a lot of this stuff. We talk about ecosystems and stuff. Can't wait to start. We have some narratives like today's modular blockchain. Other days is going to be more like the ecosystem of a project, not an ecosystem of a layer 1. Well, I guess it is a layer 1. What am I trying to say here? Smaller ecosystem, more niched ecosystems, that I think is where a lot of the value is. So like Avalanche, do a review on Avalanche. But if there's a project in Avalanche or Ethereum or any layer 1, and that project has a lot of projects in its ecosystem, some that are native to its ecosystem that don't really exist outside of it, that's good to know. Good to know those things, raise that crypto IQ. And when you see Avalanche start running, you don't run and dump your money in Avalanche. You go run and dump your money in the best performing project and its ecosystem. And even the ones under that's where the money's going to be, in my opinion, because none of this is financial advice. My favorite thing to say is, if you need a financial advisor, go get one. Why do we have to say that so much? Anyway, stable. All about reimagining stable coins, MYX, Perpetual DEX, Lombard, Bitcoin DeFi. Do they have that? The categories on CryptoRank are kind of sad. They really are. It just says like DeFi, Ethereum. Sometimes it'll just say token. Yeah, this one says token. Like, isn't every single thing on this website a token? Like, that seems kind of a useless piece of information. Hemi Hemi is on our list of things that we'll be going over today, so I won't click on that one. It is a modular blockchain. And again, for anybody rolling in late, what is a modular blockchain? Oh, and I missed a comment from Cryptomaniac 1776. He says, was just looking at XPL, definitely surprised by that high market cap already. Yeah, maybe we'll take a second to look at XPL and its market cap. Maybe we get over to CoinGecko because that's where I know it better. Boundless, we've talked about several times. Bless, we've talked about several times. Pump.fun, you got to know what that is. Layer 0, that was in our what is layer 0. You have layer 1s, layer 2s, even layer 3s, layer 0s. What does any of that mean? Well, that's crypto IQ stuff, and we have done deep dives on those narratives. Wormhole, off the top of my head, I can't remember what Wormhole is. I know I've been over it, though. And some things Crypto Rank does really well. I like the chart, the trading view style chart. I like that you come down, they immediately have the team. They immediately have the latest funding rounds, 225 million, not too shabby. And it tells you right who they are. This information is a little harder to find on CoinGecko. Wormhole price analysis. You kind of got to bounce between all the different ones to really paint a full picture, I've found, in my opinion. Here are the markets for it. You do get that on CoinGecko. But then there's other things that I don't get here as easily that I would like to see. One of them being the categories. Again, their categories are cooked. They're not very good. We'll just go right to their website. Connecting the internet to the economy. Okay. I'm here for that. Wormhole is leading interoperability platform connecting traditional finance and internet economy. And all we really need to know here is their mission is to take traditional finance in crypto, DeFi, blockchain, whatever you want to call it, and merge them together. That's what we need to know about this project. Now, I guess on CoinGecko, the tokenomics are a little bit easier to make sense of. I don't really like the format. I like CoinGecko's format here. Do they have Wormhole trending? Also, I've noticed that it's very different, right? So on Crypto Rank, they're literally telling you the top 20, searched things, but that's on their platform, right? That's not on CoinGecko. That's not on Google. That's just on their platform. And how many people use Crypto Rank? That would be a good question. I would like to know that. How many, daily users do they have on average? We talked about all these different ones. When it comes to this, I'm always looking for projects that we haven't seen. And then the other side of it is the 20 most visited coins in the last 7 days. So you have 20 searched, but also visited. So how many people visited the coin and went even farther to actually look at it, who searched it and then visited it? I feel like I said that backwards. But anyways, keep with me here. Lighter. I mean, that's the elephant in the room. That's what I'm talking about. That's what everybody's talking about. I don't feel like a lot of your mainstream have really caught on to this. They probably won't until it launches. If you're not early in crypto, most of the time you are late. Ethereum. I've seen that Ethereum, when I was looking up the Google searches on crypto this morning, Ethereum was getting a ton of search. Of course, it's doing nothing but dump with Bitcoin, but they probably want lower prices. Another thought that I have for you guys is rate cuts came in, so money is more easily accessible. In September, they're probably going to rate cut again, making it even more cheaper to borrow. And they would probably want to drive the price down because they don't want to buy at the highs. They want to buy at a dip, at a low, when they get all that money. I think that that's a pretty solid thing to expect here, and maybe something we should have saw coming. So T. I feel like I heard somebody say something about this, but I haven't looked at it myself yet. What is T? T is pioneering a decentralized open source software platform designed to provide fair compensation to open source developers for their contributions to the broader ecosystem. Through T's platform, developers can receive equitable rewards for their invaluable contributions, fostering a more sustainable and inclusive open source economy. Okay, that is cool. As a narrative and stuff, that's pretty cool. But I don't see retail wanting to make sure that they pump a project that gets developers paid. I think that's going to be more institutionals and projects. You could definitely, oh, Wax is in there. Let's click on Wax for a half a second. Who knows what the Wax blockchain is? Don't worry, I'll wait. Anybody know what the Wax blockchain is? Has anybody here ever used the Wax blockchain? I actually used the Wax blockchain quite some time ago. I enjoyed their ecosystem, honestly. I really enjoyed the fact that, you know, there's no fees. Like, you still have to process the transactions, but there's no fees. So it made it fun. You could use it as much as you wanted, and you didn't have to stress about how much money you were spending with your transaction, because even small fees add up. And I am actually still staking Wax. I'm going to write Wax down. Wax would be a good ecosystem to look at. Mostly just for crypto IQ, because I think most people don't know about it. There are people building over on Wax. Reef is put his hands up. Maybe he means he's used Wax. Anyways, we were talking about T. We will give their website a half a look. Not going to spend a lot of time on their website. How did everybody feel about the stream yesterday? Man, we went for 3 hours. That was pretty awesome. I think that's my record so far, for sure. And I enjoyed that stream a lot. T. Spoiler. Testnet is live. Complete your KYC using the ZK Pass. I mean, unless you're a developer, I don't know why you would want to KYC for this. Can you buy the token? Is the token out? I don't think so. I think it just says additional data. They had an ICO where they raised $2 million, then an extended seed where they raised $8.9 million. It says valuation $130 million. I wonder what they mean by that, because obviously they didn't get 130. I like how in the ICO it tells how many tokens were for sale. I want to see that in the funding round, though. And that's pretty much everything there is to cover on that. Now, if the token was out, one play that I guess you could think of is if that is a project that projects use for developers to pay them and to incentivize them, maybe they're going to dump some money into it. Hannah, expect a video about Hannah Network from me. Now, I got to get through these other 2 videos, and then I'll put that one out. But Hannah, we've gone over many times. Anybody remember me going over Hannah? Drop a 444 in the chat if you remember me going over the Hannah Network. Not if you remember what it was, but if you just remember me going over it. All right, so we're going to hop over to what's trending. They have XPL as like the #1 trending thing. Undead Games, been over a bunch of times. And we've been doing this so much that when a new project pops into the trending, we're all over it. It pops out like a sore thumb to me because we've been over stable so many times. And when you see like Hyperliquid and Sui, trending, what does that tell you? When you see Ethereum trending, what does that mean? Why would Ethereum be trending? Who's excited about Ethereum, the layer 1 blockchain itself? Now, there are many projects on Ethereum to be excited about, but who's getting excited about Ethereum? Maybe new people in the space? Not knocking Ethereum. I own a couple. Let's go to top gainers. So, top gainers of the day, SQD. No idea what that is. Apex, we just talked about that yesterday. It's up 20%. If you had some good capital, I'd probably throw a little bit of money into all of these different decentralized exchanges. Really liked the SYN futures or SYN futures or Sync futures, I think is what they were going for, but I don't know. SYN futures we looked at. That was the one where we looked at the interface of it. And I personally liked that interface a lot, but I really liked Apex as well because it looked a lot like Weeks with the black and yellow. Let's look at this SQD. Is it a meme coin? What is it? It's a rebrand. Subsquid has rebranded to SQD. What's with the rebrand? Why would they do that? what is it on Arbitrum, Base, and Binance Smart Chain. I think that's Arbitrum symbol there. Yeah, because it's got the Explorer's RB scan. Arbitrum, probably not an ecosystem that I have looked at a ton. Writing it down. Pretty sure that Arbitrum is a layer 2, right? Spelt that all wrong. Anybody remember from our layer 2? Is Arbitrum a layer 2? I think it is. I guess I could just go down here and click on it. Big data, analytics, artificial intelligence. Doesn't say it's a layer 1 or a layer 2. But let's take a look at this project, right? What is the point of it? Obviously, it says data, and they want all the cookies. We're going to reject those. All right, the data lake for AI agents. And with the water narrative here, they should have been on SWE. The first emergent and open-based network. Join the network. And I know where a lot of my people are tonight. They are probably on the private stream for the private Discord of Crypto Lifer. I really wanted to be there. Now, before, to talk about this for a second, before I was going to do them at 7 o'clock, right? And do like an hour and then hop over there to catch a private stream. But it's recorded and I can always watch that later. Also, not everybody in my, community is a lifer. And some of them are lifers, but are not in the private Discord. So I don't think it's fair to cut everybody short and do that. I'll just watch it later on my own time. But also, that only gives me like an hour, and we've been running 2 to 3 hours. So, what's the point there? We'll just keep it regular time. Plus, then I'm changing the time of the stream on Thursday, and that could throw everybody off too. I want everybody to get used to me being here at 8 o'clock. The world is about to change. Billions of AI agents enabling automation at an unprecedented scale. Well, we're all thinking that AI agents are going to blow up. But that would kind of require an altcoin season a little bit, wouldn't it? Data for the autonomous AI era. So the AI explosion demands a revolutionary shift in data infrastructure. Traditional systems cannot meet the real-time high-throughput demand of billions of autonomous AI agents. Now, we have talked about this countless times. Look at Project Grass. Look at Bless that's out now. The new, hypercomputer or giant computer will be made up of many independent computers. And this whole idea of bringing all the unused data, GPU, storage, all of that bandwidth from everybody's computers into one big network to really give the throughput or the demands of AI or AI agents, because they will be built on AI. And it's a big narrative right now. Don't sleep on that for your crypto IQ. These agents require self-sovereign access to independently manage their data usage without human intervention. So this is a big data play. That's what this is. Why the rebrand? I have no idea. SQD. All right, now that we know what it is, let's take a look at the tokenomics a little bit. And I really feel like the tokenomics on CoinGecko are just easier to look at. So market cap, $87.8 million in its market cap, 1.3 billion max supply. What a random number for a max supply. Who picked that? 827.5 million in circulating supply. So still plenty of tokens to come out, but a large chunk is in the circulating supply. Switch to the max chart because we're more concerned about how long this project's been out. May 16, 2024 is that. Now, when there's a rebrand, I always wonder, are they incorporating their chart before they rebranded? Or is this how long ago that they rebranded? Did they rebrand in 2024? Or did they recently rebrand? And this was the chart from their previous. I don't know. All-time high of this project looks like 28 cents, low 20 or just 2 cents. And I like that it tells you how long ago it was. So the all-time high was 4 months ago, and the all-time low was 10 months ago. I think those are good data points. And of course, for anybody who doesn't know, because I don't always cover this, and I do apologize. And if I'm ever going over a project and you want to know where you can get it, where you could buy that project, definitely throw it that question in the chat and I'll go over this, but the markets are always at the bottom, right? On both CryptoRank and CoinGecko. So where you can buy is the easiest way. If there's a coin, you don't know how to get the coin. Remember somebody was talking about in the chat, I think it was Crypto Keep, that he wanted to buy the coin stable and he couldn't get into it. And I wonder if he knew how to find that information on his own. All right, what else do we got? Top gainers. There's all kinds of random coins in the top gainers. We could spend a lot of time here. This Derive catches my attention. And we're mostly just looking at categories, right? Smart contract platform, derivatives, options. It's a layer 2, DeFi AI. That is a term that you should probably be familiar with. They're just combining, just throwing an A in DeFi. And then it's really just saying that it's a DeFi, but it's also AI as well. $36.5 million in its market cap, so it's small. But right now, the narrative that's running is mostly perpetual DEX. Not seeing a lot of AI projects put up big numbers right now. Ethereum contract, Optimism, Base, and Arbitrum. That is the Arbitrum symbol, so I was right about that. And let's hop over to their website real quick. What does their website look like? Hit this drink real quick. Experience the most powerful protocol in DeFi. That is a bold claim. I don't know. They're more powerful than Solana. And I mean by tech, of course, not influence. All right, experience the most powerful protocol in DeFi. Derive is a decentralized protocol that creates unique and programmable on-chain options, perpetuals, and structured protocols. And I just want to shout out Cryptomaniac and Reef. You guys are getting all the MVP points tonight because y'all are here on a Thursday. Thursday does seem to be a little less interaction. I don't know if it's just because of the Crypto Lifer stream, but it also is probably because Thursday is just a low volume day for a lot of traffic on the internet, or at least on YouTube, I should say. Maybe not the whole internet. Spark is a good one. Worthless coin up a little bit. I should probably bring it up because I do want to make sure everybody knows about Worthless coin. What stands out to me about Worthless coin as a project is that it has its own narrative, right? And you'll see when we go to the website. It's got a small market cap, but the real sauce here. Oh, Bufflink in the house. You get some MVP points too. Saying I hit the like button. Have you? Love when you say that, Bufflink. So the couple of things about Worthless coin. I like its low market cap, and I like that, it's fully vested. The circulating supply is the max supply. So we don't have to worry about it being diluted just from new tokens coming in. It's built on Solana. It's a meme. So I think the right place for it to be is Solana. But it does have a very different narrative than most memes, right? But the real sauce is the fact, well, right now, Bufflink, my favorite modular blockchain, is probably Hemi. And we went over Hemi quite a bit when we were doing Bitcoin DeFi just the other day. And it was definitely one that really stood out to me. I liked that it was a newer project. I think people tend to grab it like, if there's a bunch of older projects and Bitcoin DeFi starts pumping, I feel like people gravitate towards the newer projects. I just think that and I also, in my experience, they have a higher likeliness of pumping. I think a lot of people look at the older projects that have been beat down over bear markets and they say, I don't know about this one, but this new project could pump. Anyways, the real sauce about Worthless is its connection to Moonshot. I believe it's Moonshot. It's Moon something, which is an application on mobile app or iOS, right? It's in the app market for whatever phone service or type of phone you have. So Worthless, being worthless is the purest honesty. Okay. So this is the narrative, right? Worthless is not an investment. It's not a project. It's not a promise. It's a public joke and an experiment about the illusion of value. At first glance, you probably think, well, that's really stupid. Why would they just come out and tell you that it's worthless? Well, it's a meme coin, and I think most people at the end of the day already have their mixed opinions about worthless, or about meme coins being worthless and what gives them their value. A lot of it's just really great marketing, honestly. Wish they would market these other projects that have value like they market meme coins, right? And it has no white paper, no roadmap, and no promises. Only one truth. 0 is the consensus. So they're really trying to bring out the fact that there's no real value in meme coins and stuff like that. But that alone could make it pump. But if you want laughs, you can. But remember, everything can go to 0, and that's the point. Do you see how this has a very different narrative? So on this Moonshot app, it's kind of like a Coinbase or an exchange, but it's really all about the meme coins and things that are hard to get for the average retail. So if there's like Worthless Coin is a good example. If it gets a bunch of steam on social media, most people would go to buy this and would have no idea how to get it. That's why they're connected with Moonshot, which I'm really surprised. Let's go to their Twitter. I'm really surprised they don't have something about Moonshot. But this coin is highlighted on Moonshot constantly, and it's basically an on and off ramp, an exchange, if you will, for tokens that are hard to get, so that retail can be a part of the narrative, basically so they can suck in retail into junk coins and dump it on them. That's my opinion. But this coin is highlighted on that app all the time, and I think retail is going to become very familiar with it as they try to pop in and out of, meme coin hype and stuff like that. And so with that, what does Moonshot know? Does Moonshot know we're going to have an altcoin season at some time? Because why would somebody build an app like that if we're never going to get an altcoin season? What would be the value in it, right? Is it just to charge fees? What's the percent of the top 20 wallets holding worthless? All right, now you're speaking my language. Let's go to this V2 bubble maps. This is what I've been using quite a bit. I still haven't used it enough to really feel like I've got it nailed down, but we will check it out. Worthless. And looks like there's a couple different ones. This is interesting, because the coin that I'm actually most familiar with, I actually feel like it's this coin, not that one. Now we probably have to just take a second here and double back. Let's make sure we're actually looking at the right coin. Yeah, so there's two of them. One is worthless and one is worthless coin. And I think the best way to compare this is let's look at which one came out first. This is some good sauce for the deep dive, I feel like, because which one of these came out first? Which one is the copycat of the other one? This one has $7 million in its market cap, and CoinGecko's tracking it to July 18th, 2025. This worthless has quite a bit more money in it, and it's tracking it to August 28th, 2025. So July 18th, 2025 and August. Have I mentioned that I'm absolutely terrible with dates and times? I'm not going to run from it. I really am. Which one of these is older? Somebody tell me. Anyways, I like the chart on this one a lot better, and it's a lot smaller. This is the one that has the connection to Moonshot. You see it right here as a category, Moonshot ecosystem. I didn't know that there were two of them out there like that. That's why we do our research. So we could kind of do that search for both of them, right? We'll look at both of them here. And now one thing I really want to say about the whole top 20% of wallets and all that stuff, somebody could own 80% of the supply and break it up between 1,000 different wallets and you would never know, right? And there are, AI agents and automated protocols and stuff that the real pros use that will break them up into wallets. And it's just to hide the whale activity and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. And as I was just saying, think about it. If somebody owned a large amount of the supply and they were going to break it up, especially using a bot. Would the bot be smart enough to break it into random intervals? Or would they like maybe put 0.39% in each wallet? Because what are the odds that retail or regular people bought exactly 0.39%? That would be weird, wouldn't it? I really like this V2 bubble map. It's pretty cool. And you can even like click on some of these and it'll bring it up, tell you the exact value of it. This V2 bubble maps is pretty cool. And so the top has 0.85, so less than 1%. But I don't personally like... I know, Buffling's laughing at me. It is what it is, man. It's something I've always dealt with. It's just like my brain doesn't compute time in months very fast. It just doesn't. I can do some crypto deep diving though. July, August, September. Yeah, so obviously July came out first. And that was the original worthless coin, right? So the other one is a copycat. The one that we're looking at right now. And anyways, is anybody else seeing this? What are the odds of all of these different contracts, wallets, whatever you want to call them, having 0.39? It's very weird. And when does it stop? When do we get to some, okay, down here? And then we just go into 0.14. Okay. And then, I mean, I guess it's a little bit more organic. It is in order, so you're going to see that. But there's a lot of wallets that own 0.39. That's very weird. But anyways, with this being more of the copycat one and not the one we were talking about, let's go look at the actual one. Let's look at the one I really wanted to talk about here. Check it also in Rug Checker. It looks like a botted. Yeah, that one does. The worthless one. We'll definitely check that out. I think the one that I normally use is what? Anti-rug. And it's mostly just for Solana stuff. The one I normally click on, I think, is literally just for Solana contracts. Yeah, search for Solana tokens. So it doesn't do everything. And we'll pull up that first one. Let's grab the contract address. Pop it in. I already know it's probably going to be awful. And it's doing its thing, and it's kicking out a safety score of 94.32%. That can't be right. Did they just do a really good job setting it up? Yeah, okay, and so here's where, you know, can you always, this is really good, can you always trust the anti-rug AI? Because it says, oh, well, the top holders own less than 1%, and the top 10 holders control only 4.36%. They're over 33,000 wallets, but we took a look at it, and a lot of those wallets own 0.39%, which looks very botted. Is this something they're doing now to go around the anti-rug system? Does the anti-rug system need to get smarter? I don't know. And how would they know? You know, how would an anti-rug system really know, other than just seeing that most of the wallets own, you know, roughly the same amount of coin? It was a good idea, Reef, but I'm starting to wonder how much we can really trust this anti-rugger. And let's pull the other one as well. Rug the rug checker. Exactly. We're going to need like a rug checker to check the rug checker to check the rug checker. And then it's just going to get ridiculous. Let's try another one. So let's do the other one. And watch this one get like a worse score, but actually have better, you know, system. And while that one's going on, yeah, let's take a look over here. And then this looks so much more organic. Like, you don't have a bunch of wallets. And again, it is putting the supply of the wallets in order. So you might see one or two that are very close. But even look at this, 1.39, but this one owns 1.36. That's maybe a little more organic. That's a little bit more realistic, right? Meteora Pool. I like how it points out the ones that we do know. It does assign meaning to some of these wallets if we know what they are. What is this orange one? Like, why is it orange? A cluster supply? What is a cluster supply? And as we deep dive and stuff, sometimes we come up with more questions than we have answers, right? But their wallet here is worth 27.24 thousand. Is one of these Joe's wallet? This would be the influencer who actually put it on my radar. And what does the pink mean? Also says cluster supply. But what does the pink rating give it? And you can turn it off so you don't see it. Wow, you could really get pretty deep with this. And if we want to be on top of our game here, I'm going to have to sit down and spend even more time with this. But back to the anti-rugger. And it gave it a really high safety score. I would say that this is more legitimate. Reef says, I'm scared now. Bro, you're going to make me start cracking up. All right. So 93.1%. So it actually has less of a score than the other worthless coin. And why did the other worthless coin have $37 million in it and this one only has 7? So if somebody was going to try to pump this up to make it, the other one I'm talking about, make it look more legitimate, they probably put some of their own money in it to boost up the liquidity. Maybe it's a team of people, maybe it's a bot that made that whole coin. I have absolutely no idea. But I'm rolling with this one as the more legitimate coin. Also, this coin is the one that has the connection to Moonshot. I don't believe the other coin has connection to Moonshot. And I could see Moonshot not putting it on their exchange just for, clarity, to try to keep people to be less confused and to not take away, because they really do pump this coin constantly. And another thing, Joe, who doesn't know who Joe is? Joe Pryor or Joe Pryor, whatever his name is. I've watched his content for years. He's really good at getting into, pre-sales of tokens and stuff like that. Although I've never followed it because he hides that behind a paywall. He sells you that information, which there's nothing wrong with, in my opinion. I just never paid for it. But anyways, my point is that if this has the connection to Moonshot, that could be the reason why it pumps. What I was going to say is that it's very grassroots is what he's saying. And then they haven't paid they haven't really paid influencers to pump it, hence the market cap. And therefore it's a grassroots movement. I guess that's a good way to put it. All right, moving on. We spent a lot of time on that, but when you're researching and deep diving, that happens. You get locked into something and we go down a rabbit hole. It's like, there we go. It's like that scene from when you were a kid in the Magic School Bus when they went into somebody's body and went all through their blood and whatnot. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. That's us going down a rabbit hole. Bro, Reef's I'm scared now comment. Just that one got me. That's hilarious. All right, let's go to top gainers. And there's a lot here. I think we're going to come back to this. And we went into that because this worthless coin was up. The other one's not even on here. What was that? Froggy? That's hilarious. And I see Tibber is losing. All right, I said I was going to move on. Let's actually move on. And let's come into a little bit of AI help that we had breaking down modular blockchains and how they work. So what are modular blockchains? How do they work, and how do they really differ from a regular blockchain? So modular is going to refer to the way that the blockchain is set up. Every crypto project's like a company. They get to decide how it runs, how many people are in, one part of the company versus another part of the company, how much those people get paid, when they get paid. I mean, everything is designed by the infrastructure that they set up. Some of the differences, it's in smart contracts, so it runs consistently, the same. Anyways, modular blockchains separate the 4 core functions of a blockchain: execution, consensus, data availability, and settlements. And you can kind of, put a little mental note in your mind. If you're not taking notes at home, do advise taking notes at home. That these are the 4 pillars of a blockchain, right? Execution, consensus, data availability, and settlement. Instead of using one chain doing everything, think of, any layer 1 really from the olden days, Ethereum, Bitcoin, they're considered monolithic. Modular design lets each layer specialize. So example, an execution rollup can post a transaction to a separate data availability layer while settlement occurs elsewhere. And so I think the real thing they're trying to solve here, and this seems like the evolution of blockchain to me, is some of the congestion. You have all kinds of different things going on. People think on the blockchain all that's going on are transactional transactions. What am I trying to say here? They think that everything that's going on is just people buying and selling, right? Or doing something like that. But there is also just data being fed as well throughout the network. And if you could separate some of that stuff out, well, then the congestion might come down. So why modular designs matter? Scalability. Each layer can scale independently. DA layers, I don't know where I got DNA from. DA layers can scale while execution layers handle app activity. Security, modular systems can inherit security from strong consensus layers. Flexibility, developers can mix and match module layers to fit different use cases. That's something I didn't actually even think about yet. So if you're developing and building something, maybe you want more of the security layers, the consensus layer, or maybe you want something that just makes the transactions go fast and the security is handled some other way. I don't know. The top modular blockchain projects in 2025. So Celestia, probably being one of the bigger ones, specializes in data availability, actually pioneered modular DA. That must be data availability. I was kind of wondering what that meant. Fuel is optimized modular execution layer. Avail, scalable, efficient DA blockchain. In this EigenLayer, which we've been going over quite a bit lately as it has been trending, provides shared security through restaking. Near protocol, moving towards modular rollup strategies. Does anybody miss Blue's guy tonight? He wasn't able to make it. He said in the Discord, for anybody who doesn't check the Discord, that he had a gig tonight at a restaurant, I believe. He's a singer. And hopefully, I asked him to post a video in the Discord. Anybody who not in the Discord, go check out the Discord link in the description and hop on over there. That's where we post all the sauce when we're not live. But he said he was going to post a video of him doing his gig and singing and whatnot. I was looking forward to seeing that. He's up in Canada. I want to say Montreal, but that could be wrong. Anyways, just shout out to him because he has been so active. He gets a lot of MVP points as well. Developers gain freedom to design app with custom stacks. Pick execution plus DA plus settlement. Users enjoy cheaper, faster transactions and better DApp experience, right? Investors exposure to infrastructure that underpins Web3 growth, often early in adoption cycles. Now let's get into the risk, opportunities, and the future of modular blockchain. Opportunities, higher scalability, cross-chain interoperability. Who doesn't know what interoperability means? Anybody? Put it in the chat if you don't know what the word interoperability means. Most of the people who are here have heard me rant about it. Okay, institutional adoption. Am I ranting? Am I just talking? What is the difference? Do you have to be angry to be ranting? I'm not sure. Risks. So here are the risks. Technical complexity, right? Ecosystem is fragmentation, right? So the ecosystem is broken apart into different fragments. Is really the whole point of what they're doing, but also that could create some issues, right? Reliance on shared data availability solutions. So they all rely probably on the same data feeds, but then it's getting broken up. I don't know. I'm no developer, but I could see how that could get messed up, and it would be harder maybe to pinpoint when something did get messed up. To fix it might be far more of a headache. So expect modular stacks to dominate scaling. Integrate with AI and RWAs, and compete with optimized monolithic blockchains like Solana. So why does it matter? What is some of the sauce that we would take away from here? So if we're going to believe that the evolution of blockchain is modular blockchains, right? Let's just go out on a limb here and say this is the sauce of deep diving, right? And I'm just going to address this. Bufflink says he doesn't know. Interoperability really just means to communicate across different blockchains. So Ethereum to talk to Avalanche to talk to, Sui. That would be interoperability. So think of them all as like little islands, and they're disconnected and they can't talk to each other. And then all of a sudden somebody comes in and starts building bridges. I mean, literally, we talked about atomic swaps and bridges. A bridge literally is like that bridge between the islands. And so that allows money, bridges allow money to be transferred between the two, right? Usually with a third party making a bunch of money off of fees in the middle of it. But setting up the data bridges, you know, those long cords that go under the ocean so Europe can talk to America, think of that in between all the islands. That's interoperability. So when you see a project and it has like 17 different contract addresses, that's interoperability. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I was raising Bufflink's IQ there. And again, we deep dive together. I never want to seem like I'm a know-it-all because I learn stuff every day, and I love lifers' take on I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance. I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. What was I? Oh, okay. So I was saying, if we're to believe that modular blockchains are the best, now how could this help us be better speculating investors, right? If this is the future, then you would probably want to look at a project if it's a layer 1. So Somnia comes out, right? Somnia is going to be a layer 1 blockchain. We're probably going to talk a ton about it tomorrow. You might want to ask yourself, let me go look, is it a modular blockchain or is it running on a monolithic style blockchain? You start to ask yourself these questions the more you raise your IQ. And if you're stuck between, putting $1,000 or whatever amount of money, that's irrelevant, into 3 or 4 different blockchains because you want to have a good solid layer 1 that you think is going to do well. Maybe you're entering into the next bull market. You could ask yourself, well, if one of these is a modular blockchain and the other ones aren't, maybe that's the one to go with. Of course, you do your own research and you make your own decisions, and you don't do what a random YouTuber tells you to do. Even if we were allowed to, as YouTubers, get on here and say, you should buy this, and you should buy that. We could give you financial advice, and that wasn't like a legal thing. You still shouldn't listen to people. That's just not a good idea. Now, to take what people... There's a big difference between taking what people say into consideration and then literally just doing what people on the internet tell you to do. Bufflink says, I'm a degen noob. Well, then you're in the right place, brother. I hope you're in the Discord. I'm not sure if I saw you in the Discord yet, but definitely hop in the Discord if you're a degen noob. That way you could ask me or whoever else is available some questions, and the same thing applies. You take what people tell you into consideration, then you take it farther and you do your own research, and then you make your decision for your life, your amount of money, all of that good stuff. And I'm not just saying that because of legal stuff. I'm saying that because it just makes sense. TIA. So they said TIA really pioneered this modular blockchain. So it's only right that it would be the biggest in the space at 1.1 billion, and that we would look at it. It's so random. My wife actually was the first one to show me TIA, and she is not a crypto person. And we bought it at like $3 on Coinbase, and then it ran up to like $20. And you think I would have sold it there. I didn't. I forget what I sold it for. I sold it for like $12 or something. It was up, but I just moved it into something else. It's probably not doing, well, I don't know, not doing as well as TIA. It's not doing real great here. But what is doing great right now? So Secret is a layer 1 blockchain that they're on. I think that Secret is TIA. I'm really pretty confident about that. Cosmos, Osmosis. Because I remember the other day I kept seeing Secret as a layer 1 blockchain, and I'm like, I know I've seen that somewhere. I think it is Celestia. So we'll open their website, but we won't go there quite yet. Just really allure some mystery around it. No, I'm just kidding. Layer 1, data availability. Bufflink says, sorry I'm not. I have way too many Discords I'm in and never have time to visit them. Well, take this advice as I just got done telling you shouldn't do what YouTubers tell you to do. And then I'm going to turn around and tell you delete all those other channels that you have and just leave our channel if you're never in them anyways. It's funny you say that because today I was just thinking about all of the Discords that I have joined doing research and making videos, and I'm going to go delete like 99% of them because I don't look at them. The only thing I can tell you is the Project Orange, which is a Bitcoin DeFi project is very active in their Discord, because I see they have stuff popping up like 24/7. Anyways, sorry, I had to fix my dread sock here. So layer 1, data availability, modular blockchain. What else is important? Proof of stake, right? And the rest are all portfolios. I don't know how many people really care about portfolios. I've said before, I'm pretty sure that is a very TradFi thing to like follow portfolios. Kind of like how they buy, the top 500 or the top 30, and they have little names for them like the SPY and the Index 500 and whatever. I'm not a stock guy, so I probably said that terribly. So go bigger. Celestia is a modular blockchain powering unstoppable apps with full stacked control. I feel like we need a crypto project that monitors and calls out the websites of crypto projects. Maybe we could build that. Maybe that's going to be our bigger vision for the channel. Because how many websites do you go to? Well, we go to. I don't know how many people are doing all this research, right, by themselves. Hopefully I'm inspiring somebody to do that. But how much, websites do we go to and they're just like, we're the best, blockchain in crypto. I mean, that's basically what they're saying. They're like, we're the fastest. And it's like, yeah, this project has been out for like 6 years. I don't think you're the fastest anymore. You should probably take that off your website. We need to hold them accountable. We can give every website like a truth score. I'm really thinking up a project here. This might work out. Unstoppable apps. Then we'll charge people monthly to use it, right? I'm just kidding. Send money like a meme. Craft on-chain world. Send money like a meme. Why would we want to send money like a meme? What does that even mean? Sorry, I'm a little hyped up tonight, if nobody can tell. I actually had an extra coffee before we got started here. Craft on-chain worlds or deploy programs that outlive you. That's a cool idea there, that you could build stuff, and because this technology is new, it's probably going to run the world for probably at least 100 years, right? How long do we think it is before, and this is a very out there question, how long before AI, blockchain, well, let's start with blockchain technology. Somebody drop in the chat, how long do you think blockchain technology is going to be relevant for? Is it going to be 100 years or 1,000 years? And what about AI? Does humanity ever reach a point where we look back and we're like, AI, what is that, AOL? Where we look at literally AI as a use case, a narrative, whatever you want to call it, and we think like, oh yeah, when it first came out, it was like, the AOL of AI. That should make sense to most of you. I don't think there's anybody here who doesn't know what AOL is. Full stack control, and we got quite a few people in the house. Somebody drop a comment who isn't already commenting. I love to see the engagement. Full stack control. And we're talking about Celestia. It's a modular blockchain. That is why we're talking about it. Run a light node. Directly verify and join the network by running a light node or 2 commands. So one thing in the channel, I know I'm talking about a lot of extra things, but I'm feeling like we are getting closer here as a community. And it's only been, maybe 2 months? Reef says, when we have droids. Exactly. Droids. Who's looking forward to droids and who is terrified of droids? Anyways, there's some definite things that I want to add to the channel. We are going to go through a bear market. I hope you guys have at least thought of that and will stick with me through the bear market. I think that we're going to actually build and become a much bigger YouTube channel, community, whatever you want to say, through the bear market. Because a lot of people go away during the bear market. One thing you should ask yourself is, when the hype dies down and we have a blow off top, we have whether we do or don't actually have the stage of euphoria in the market, when we obviously go back down and in a bear market, price has been dumping for 9 months, and everybody's pretty confident we're in a bear market, right? Will you still care about this stuff? Will you start setting yourself up for the next bull run? This is assuming we continue the 4-year cycle, right? But will you set yourself up for the next bull run? Or will you wait until we're in another bull run to care and then try to hop in and wish that you had bought everything? when it was super low. Anyways, nodes, running a node is a huge thing, but what are the best nodes to run, and how do you actually run a node? Are there easy nodes to get into? This is a good one for ChatGPT to get me started on. You know, what project can you go run a node on? Just use your computer and actually earn some of the token, you know, for whatever value it's at. And then another one, of course, is mining. Yes, I'm writing this down. Mining would be a fun thing to get into during the bear market and do videos on, and maybe find good places to mine, maybe cheap places to mine. So 100 years and less, asteroid Apophis? Is that the name of an asteroid? Am I out of the loop? I don't know all the asteroid names, so I probably am out of the loop. Is that the one? Wait a second. Is that the one that's supposed to be an alien spaceship? Now everybody really thinks I'm crazy. I don't know if it is. Hits in 2029. What's this one that they're saying now is not an asteroid? It's really an alien spaceship, and it's supposed to be here like in like a couple months. That's going to be fun. Does it set the narrative for the alien invasion? I don't know. They've been talking about that. I don't know how many of you guys pay attention. I'm not a big conspiracy person in the idea that I believe all the conspiracies. Have some of them been right? Sure. I think they're fun to listen to and think about. I'm a very philosophical person. We're going to move on to a different project. I like a lot of philosophy. If you know who Alan Watts is, Jim Rohn, of course, talk about Jim Rohn all the time. If you're not working out listening to Jim Rohn, I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, anyways, I know about most conspiracies. That doesn't mean that I subscribe to them. That doesn't mean I believe in them. After the way the last cycle coins are performing, I'm buying BTC till 2 to 3 of the next cycles. That's not a bad idea. And you'll probably be a winner in that space. I mean, originally when I set out, when I was investing most of my money in the bear market, it was kind of like I could buy one Bitcoin, and this was around 15K, or I could invest that money in altcoins. Now, hindsight's 2020, right? So looking back, maybe I should have bought a Bitcoin, but we'd had so many altcoin seasons and stuff. I mean, I was familiar with all the altcoin seasons that I had seen. I mean, I'd made the most money off of Dogecoin, even if I didn't sell it. And so I went with altcoins. I thought there was a bigger opportunity. I thought, you know, with this money, if I bought, you know, several different projects and just one of them did something ridiculous, like Dogecoin did, you know, you kind of hope that your experiences line up, that you would be, you know, better off. Am I? I don't know. I mean, actually, I'm probably in about the exact same spot as if I would have bought a Bitcoin, especially with the dump. It was outpacing me a little bit, but since Bitcoin's pulled back, well, that means altcoins have probably pulled back too. I don't look at my big accounts every day. Anyways, scale. So I pulled the top 3 projects and I put it on the thumbnail, if anybody caught that. 135.4. Probably don't spend much time looking at the thumbnail. Of course, I make the thumbnail, so I spend not way too much time, but a good amount of time making them. And most people probably just click on them, don't even look at them. $135.4 million market cap. Not that you really should. Ethereum contract, scale contract. And how many people like when I have other things to say while we're doing this, and how many people want me to just keep it very crypto and don't say anything else about anything? I feel like people are pretty 50-50 on that. But we're here for a couple hours, so, you know. Of course, I got to say something other than what we're looking at. Scale is the gas-free, invisible blockchain built for mass adoption. I like their website. We were just talking about aliens and asteroids and stuff, and then we get this dope website. Checking the chat. So zero gas fees forever. Scale is a fast gas-free blockchain network optimized for real-world performance, designed for high throughput use cases in gaming, AI, DeFi. Scale enables developers to deploy dedicated I think it should just say dedicate or share chains that run dApps without gas fees or bottlenecks. As a decentralized and open source platform, Scale combines speed, scalability, and security, making it the ideal network to build next generation applications. Cryptomaniac says off topic is good, no problem. Well, I'm glad you say that. I mean, I think the community feels a little bit more personal when we can talk about stuff, right? And that goes for people commenting as well. You know, you might say something that isn't completely just what we're looking at, and I'm not going to ignore you. You know, we're going to talk about it, especially if you're somebody who's here all the time, you know, being involved in the community, especially if you're in the Discord. You know, I'm a people person, so I'm not a people pleaser. You know, I don't want that to be misconstrued. When running a YouTube, you can't be a people pleaser, but I am a people person. Like, I really do care about people for just absolutely no reason, and people have always kind of asked me why I do that. I don't know. I like people. Create a world-class user experience for consumer-centric dApps. So Ethereum native, shared security, instant finality, and on-chain file storage. So they got storage built in here as well. I mean, Scale looks pretty cool. I love the no gas fee, right? For the longest time, the sell point, or I guess the defense for the gas fees, was it protected the network from attacks. But I do see quite a few of other projects now, you know, going with the whole no fee, no gas fee. Wax, we talked about a minute ago randomly. They're also a no gas fee. Are they getting attacked every day? I don't know. They have probably some other kind of way to keep themselves from being exploited. Scale expanding spectrum of use cases. So the future of gaming is here. Again, we got to hold these projects accountable, guys. How many times have we heard the future of gaming is here? The future of AI is here. The future of whatever, data storage, it's here. It's on this blockchain. Somebody's got to hold them accountable. When they say, you know, we're the fastest blockchain known to man, and it's like, yeah, maybe 5 years ago when you came out, but are you faster than the new update for Solana? I've heard that thing is ridiculous. I think it's 100 times faster than it was. I digress. Why choose Scale for gaming? Well, because it's fast, right? And there's zero fees. I saw that coming. Built-in game developer. Configure your needs. No lag, no interruption, just gameplay. So AI optimized features. So Scale has AI. They're fast. They're gas free. I mean, hopefully your narrative stacking. I think that's the new term that I'm going to give it. You know, you got to understand your category, your niches. But why do you need to understand your categories, your narratives, your niches, so that you can stack them together, right? So when you're saying, I want the best, like maybe you're building a portfolio and you're like, well, I want to have 2 gaming projects in it just in case GameFi pops off, and maybe you're building for the next bull run and you're going more alts than Bitcoin, right? Well, if you know more about it, like, oh, these 3 are my top picks, but one of them is heavily into AI and the other 2 are not. Well, now you're stacking categories. And it looks like the one that has all 3 of them are mostly just GameFi, right? And one of them has AI built into it and does gaming with AI and stuff. That one's probably more likely to catch people's attention. Another big thing to understand would be that technology and different things they're doing technology-wise don't always equal price. That was a hard one for me to understand when I first got into crypto, because it's like, oh, well, this blockchain is way faster. Well, the other blockchain has better marketing, and it's just drawing more people, and they paid money. They have more influencers talking about it. That one's going to get more money into its market cap because more people know about it, and the more people know about it, you know, you got to think for every, you know, making a random statistic up, because they say 90% of statistics are made up anyways. Say for every 1,000 people that come across any project, and let's say it was all equal across every project, one of them actually bought some. Well, then it's just a numbers game of how many people can you put your project in front of. And one of them could be much better and get a lot less attention. So Scale is pretty cool. It's a modular blockchain. I actually enjoyed their website a lot. I'm giving them a 9 out of 10 for the website. And honestly, I've found that a lot of times, and I'll get to the comments in just a second, or Buffling's comment, a lot of times the more techier projects are so dialed into the tech and the fact that they're very tech superior, you know, the latest, best version, evolution of whatever it is, blockchain, gaming, AI, whatever, that a lot of times they miss the mark. Those usually are the projects that miss the mark on the marketing, like, because everybody there is so big-brained and ingenious that nobody sat down and said, hey guys, if nobody knows about this project, none of this shit matters. Anyways, what's up, YG Rels, my brother in the house, longtime good friend. I'm glad you dropped a comment. I appreciate you showing that you're here. So AI3 Atlas is the asteroid that is going by Mars right now that everyone's talking about. Right, Bufflink, the one that they say is an alien spaceship. Have you heard that? Are you like really into asteroids and stuff? Because like now you've talked about like 2 different asteroids, right? And I'm not trying to clown you. I'm not trying to say it's a bad thing. I think that's awesome, actually. I think that's really cool. I love when people have some substance to them and they have something that they're passionate about, they pay attention to. Because too many people, you talk to them and they tell you about like some kind of mainstream nonsense that I'm honestly not very interested in the latest trends. I like somebody who thinks for themselves. And somebody who thinks for themselves would be like interested in asteroids or space or something like that. You know, like people who are genuine thinkers, philosophical, like they don't tell you about stupid stuff. You know, they don't just like tell you about who's the most popular celebrity. Like I never see people who like have real intuitive, thoughtful, philosophical, deep thoughts and conversations with people just like want to tell you about an actor. Because most people who are deep don't really care about that. Hemi was looking forward to getting to this project, actually. $135.1 million in its market cap. 10 billion max supply. Circulating supply 977.5 million. So the circulating supply is not even at a billion. And there's 10 billion max supply. It means less than 10% is out. I was going to say 1 there for a minute. I don't want to look dumb on my own live stream. Nah, as you can see, I'm pretty comfortable on here. So 561.8% gains on the max chart, and it hasn't been out that long. It is Bitcoin DeFi. So August 29, 2025 on the max chart, not very long ago. Ethereum contract, Hemi, its own layer 1, and Binance Smart Chain. I think it's very interesting that it is Bitcoin Fi protocol, but you're not going to see a Bitcoin contract address. Now, it's somewhat obvious, you might say, if you understand the dilemma here, because Bitcoin doesn't have smart contracts, right? So that's what layer 2, well, I guess, see, that's where it gets weird. With Ethereum and stuff, you can have layer 2 projects, but you can't really have a native layer 2 project on Bitcoin because it's doesn't have any smart contracts. Now there is the whole thing we looked at the other day, the tap and track, and the whole, anybody remember that? Where like they are basically putting information into the Bitcoin block itself. And I don't know all the details of it. I don't know really how big of information they can put into it, right? Seems like a lot of times they're just like putting a couple of small amounts of data in there for like an NFT or something, right? And it's actually natively on the Bitcoin chain itself. It's not a smart contract. It's just built into the block when it's minted. And anybody who goes back and looks at that block is going to see that. How exactly all that works, I don't know. But I think that's the closest thing to true layer 1 functionality Bitcoin has. And everybody is trying to build what is going to run DeFi. Then you have the Lightning Network. There's a lot of things there we could unpack. How many people's head is pulsating when I talk about this stuff? And how much do you feel like you're retaining this information? The world's largest Bitcoin programmable layer. Again, if we had our own crypto project, underground crypto verified, we would check out if this is actually a true claim or not. 90 plus powerful protocols. One thing I really liked about Hemi is how many bigger projects they have working with them. At least name recognition projects like Sushi Swap. Maybe it's not a big project. I feel like Sushi Swap fell off hard because at least they're not doing a lot of marketing. But at the same time, they have things like Pith Network. Better brand recognition, I think. Bitcoin secured through POP mining, which is proof of proof. How did I miss this? We've been over this website like 4 times. Maybe because today it's one of the main modular blockchains I was excited to look at. But POP mining is proof of proof. Now I've heard of proof of stake, proof of liquidity, proof of work, proof of useless, that's hilarious, proof of useful liquidity, and all kinds of different other things, but I've never heard of proof of proof. So I really don't even know what that means. I mean, I could speculate. It's what this is all about. What they promise, what we're doing, what they imagine, we've done. What they promise we're doing, what they've imagined. I mean, they just sound really full of themselves, don't they? Okay, what they call the future, we call Hemi. It's great marketing, though. Programmable Bitcoin, super network infrastructure, Bitcoin-powered finality. Does anybody remember me going over this at all? Bufflink says, I'm more into biblical prophecy, but you asked about Apopus? I don't know what the heck that's supposed to say, but it's the asteroid. I get that. Was the A3 Atlas asteroid. Enough asteroid talk, back to crypto deep diving. It was a good segue, though. It was a good little thing to pop into. But thanks for clearing that up. I very much am into biblical prophecy as well. So we would line up and have, if we were in real, face-to-face person, we would definitely have a great talk about biblical prophecy. So next generation BTC-Fi, launch-ready ecosystem, trustless restaking with native Bitcoin. Hemi dropped 20% today with everything. What's your favorite coin to buy on the dip? Honestly, my capital has been allocated. So if I'm buying anything on a quote-unquote dip, it's very small amounts. I switched a ton of stuff in my life up. And not that anybody, probably really cares or wants to know about it, but, Crypto Maniac said off topic is good, no problem. So he really gave me permission to talk about whatever I want. So thank you, Crypto Maniac. Anyways, I switched a lot of stuff in my life up a little bit. I run multiple companies for a long time and made good money. But I switched it because I got tired of being out in this Florida sun all the time and stuff like that. I still have another company that I run from home. But, yeah, so that changed my capital game a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. Mostly all the money that I was dumping into crypto all the time. So the Hemi virtual machine. So with that being said, most of my capital is allocated and I don't have the extra flow of capital as much as I used to because it was pretty sweet. And most people would probably think I was crazy for moving on to something else, but that's how I am. Once I realized that my other business, although it made great money, matter of fact, YG Rels in the house, who threw up the thumbs there, he actually has been one of my good friends. He used to work for me for a long time. But once you realize something's not scalable and that it's not going to be really explosive and big, then you move on from stuff, right? So the Hemi virtual machine. So the Hemi VM or HVM is a full Bitcoin node wrapped inside an EVM, which is Ethereum virtual machine. The best way to deliver the capabilities of both networks. So has Hemi cracked the code? Have they figured out? We just talked about the dilemma that I don't think a lot of people really think about when we talk about, Bitcoin, how to make a smart contract layer that's Bitcoin, but is not actually built on Bitcoin because it would be Ethereum virtual machine. So hopefully we get to some more of those details because how it actually works, I don't actually know. It's one of those ones where I might have to actually read the white paper. Anybody ever taken the time to read the white paper on a project? When you download something or you have a new game or anything, you have any type of software that you're downloading, whether it's on your phone or whatever, and it hits you with like all of that stuff that you have to hit like I accept, and it won't let you move forward if you don't. How many people read that like from top to bottom? It's like 1 million pages. It's like 1 million words or more. Actually, probably more than that. And there's multiple different ones. It'll be like the user agreement. That's what I'm talking about. How many people read the entire user agreement? I actually had a roommate one time who swore he read all of them, and I would randomly catch him on his phone just like reading user agreements, and I thought he was insane for doing that. That was wild. Delivering the foundation for a unified Bitcoin and Ethereum ecosystem. So proof of proof consensus, Hemi virtual machine, Hemi Bitcoin kit, and Bitcoin Ethereum tunnels. Okay, so this is probably worth actually breaking down. Let's make it bigger. So proof of proof, bringing Bitcoin security to Hemi in a fully decentralized and permissionless manner. Now you got to think the people who dream up or come up with these ideas, they got to be some pretty big brain individuals, developers, but they must really understand how this stuff works, right? So then you have the Hemi virtual machine, which I'm very interested in because I want to know how it works really. Wrapped a Bitcoin node inside an Ethereum virtual machine to enable a new class of robust, efficient, Bitcoin-aware smart contracts. So Cryptomaniac says, I never read that. Gonna take off and hang out with the wife. Okay, that makes way more sense. Have a good night, everyone. See you on the next one. Thanks, Cryptomaniac, for stopping by. Have a great time, and I really appreciate you making time to be here for as long as you were. MVP points for sure. So I really want to understand this. So a Bitcoin node, I mean, a lot of people could run a Bitcoin node, and then they put that node inside of an Ethereum virtual machine. What does that even mean? I don't know. To enable a new class of robust, efficient, Bitcoin-aware smart contracts. It's very interesting. They make it very simple. Have a great night, Cryptomaniac. Peace. So HBK is Hemi Bitcoin Kit. Easily develop Bitcoin's aware smart contracts in a familiar programming environment. And that's really where the EVM comes in. I mean, most people who are developing in crypto, unless they're really big brain niched out people, are using some form of, Ethereum coding language that is just going to be, and I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you would do it, because once you coded something in what Ethereum uses, then you could just port that over to anybody who could port that right over. Good example, Bera, a layer 1 chain. It's basically a copy code of Ethereum, except for they do proof of liquidity instead of proof of stake. And you could just port over any project you want as long as it's EVM compatible. Port it right over. So a lot of people choose to build like that. All right, and then you have Bitcoin and Ethereum tunnels. What are tunnels? They are secure asset transfers from crypto's most important network to Hemi. So from Bitcoin or Ethereum to Hemi. Proudly backed by YZI Labs. What is YZI Labs? That is Binance. That is Binance affiliate, incubator, labs, whatever you want to call it. I don't think they have an actual lab. Big Brain Holdings. I could totally be wrong about that, but I don't think it's a scientific adventure there. Big Brain Holdings. It's hilarious because I've used the term big brain several times. I don't even know what that is, but I do now. Crypto.com, Gate.io, Hyperchain Republic, and BTC. I mean, what is that? A company BTC? Is that Bitcoin itself? They're backed by Bitcoin, or it's probably a company, right? From updates to insights, the latest on Hemi. So they have a meme bridge, how to integrate with Hemi and meme bridge, midweek max. So this is just some news stuff going on here, how to get in contact with them, and bam, we're at the bottom. But let's go to their ecosystem. This, I think, was what impressed me the most about Hemi, was their ecosystem. And they've changed this page. Okay. Well, we were literally on this page yesterday, and they already changed it on us. Unless maybe did we go to Portal and then go to the projects? Maybe. Do they have an ecosystem button over here? And this is, again, you know, what is the difference between Web 2 and Web 3? It's right here. This is Web 2, the website we were on. But you can't actually connect a wallet and interact with it. I do like that they broke down their... They could put more than 2 things on the page. That would be cool. Sushi, Pith, and they're considering this general. And then you can niche in. You're like, what DeFi projects? And then it looks like it's redundant, but these are all the DeFi projects. Then you could go to what kind of wallets. Oh, coming soon. So this would probably be really good if you all coming soon. Why do they even put tabs for things they don't have any projects in? I don't get that. But if you were wanting to go specifically to the infrastructure of their ecosystem, that makes it a little bit easier. But anyways, you see this, there's no real interaction with this. You just read it other than clicking on tabs and stuff. You come here, you connect your wallet, and now you're in DeFi. Now you're tunneling, right? And you're bridging or whatever. They have a decentralized exchange, the DEX, and they're really just connected into other DEX like Dodo. Pretty sure Dodo is on Ethereum, correct? Is that right? Then you have the Genesis airdrop. You can connect a wallet. They have a reward program. That might be something to look into. You do have a type of person in crypto where all they do is try to farm airdrops. And I've heard some people say that they have gotten some serious amounts of money, like $10,000 for farming airdrops. And of course, usually it's because they got the token and then they waited and the token went up in value. You know, a lot of times the airdrops are done during testnet and stuff, right? So during the testnet, they want people to come in and be a part of that testnet. Well, how do you pay people? How do you incentivize is a better word. People to come into like a testnet, right? Well, you incentivize them by having reward programs, which are the same thing as airdrops. Airdrops almost becomes like a dirty word though, because airdrops was used to scam a lot of people. Then you have staking. And again, this is how it's real DeFi, because you can connect a wallet, you can come in, you can do all kinds of different things. You can connect to different decentralized exchanges. Then you could come over here and stake some stuff that you bought. They have the Hemi Bitcoin kit is over here. I'm not even going to pretend that I am on a developer level. I understand what a kit is. It's just like easy tools, you know, like a toolkit that make it easy for developers, because if you're launching a program or something, you want it to be as easy as possible, right? And then they even have down here, we were just talking about testnets, you could toggle between the main net and the testnet. That would be a very developer thing to do, or just really early. I remember participating in Swee's testnet. It was a lot of fun because you could go to like, you know, an NFT project or something, and you could just mint as many NFTs as you wanted. And there was a faucet. How many people know what a faucet is? Not trying to shill and run, but just wanted to let you know, Caspa smart contracts tomorrow, and maybe Binance listing really soon. Back to work for me. Hey Bufflink, I really appreciate you hopping in. I didn't know you were working, so that's extra MVP points for hopping in while you were working. Maybe you were on a break or something. And don't feel bad about shilling and running. This is all about deep dive and research, so I want you to say the things that are relevant. You know, if you just come shill a coin ticker 100 times, then that would be annoying. But other than that, you're good. So Caspa gets smart contracts tomorrow. That is pretty cool. And maybe a Binance listing really soon. I own a tiny bit of Caspa. Tiny compared to anything Crypto Lifer owns. But yeah, I hope that happens. And I hope you have a great night at work. I don't know where you live, so I don't know if it's nighttime. I know we did a roll call the other day. I don't remember if you were here for that. We'll have to do it several times so I can get to know everybody. But anyways, have a great night, Bufflink. All right, so roadmap for Hemi. Why are we focusing on these 3 projects so much, or Hemi so much? Well, because there's not a ton of modular blockchain projects is 1, and 2 is because I really like Hemi and I think it's going to do some numbers. Although it's 135, that's a very small market cap in my opinion. Like, that's not a huge market cap at all. And I love the narrative. I've seen a lot of projects, you know, kind of come and go. Obviously, they're still around, but they kind of come and go. Peace again, Bufflink. So, Chromia. And it looks like Hemi is doing it right. And so, this one's been out since 2019. Kind of heats my point. Around since 2019. Only has $68.8 million in its market cap. What did they do wrong? Were they way too early? Sometimes you could just be way ahead of the crowd so much that it's almost counterproductive. So Ethereum and BNB smart contract, AI, GameFi, smart contract platform, makes it a layer 1, NFT, real world asset, and of course a modular blockchain. So it's got some things going for it. Let's go to the 3-month. Let's see if this has been getting any pop. Look at that head and shoulder. Yeah, I mean, that's activity. That's not flat. Let's go to the year. On the year, of course, this looks like, yeah, back in December when we actually got a little bit of a pump for your altcoins. Down, and that was December what, though? 2024. All right, that would have been obviously right before the beginning of the year. Most of you did not need me to tell you that. And what's up to anybody hopping in? Crypto Deep Dive show here. We are talking about modular blockchains. If you're new, just hopping in and you don't know what a modular blockchain is, drop that in the comments and I will back up a little bit and explain what a modular blockchain is. Don't worry, it's not a super long explanation. It's actually rather simple, but it's very much about the architecture of blockchain in general. And now we are on to our 4th project here, and this is Chromia. I don't think that this is the one, personally. That's my opinion. Let's go look at their website. See how their website stacks up against Hemi, which we just looked at. Build brilliant. So Chromia combines blockchain with relational database. Man, all this stuff popping up. That is annoying. So with 4 dApps with smarter features, fairer fees, and richer worlds. I mean, it like whoever came up with this idea, it was a good idea, but that makes it like impossible to read stuff. And how do I scroll down without activating it? So it's so annoying. Relational blockchain, a fix for everything. Blockchains are too basic. Maybe that's why they did what they did with their website here. So blockchains are primitive and experimental. Compared with databases, traditional blockchain record information in a list format, making it difficult to store and manage complex data sets on chain. They are also resilient on centralized servers and third-party providers. We add relational databases to fix them. So Chromia records structured blockchain data in linked relational tables. I mean, this is probably very techy for a lot of people. This innovation, which we call relational blockchain, makes it possible to query data directly on chain, perform hundreds of read and write operations with a single transaction, and index blockchain data in real life. How many of you guys are super excited about this? I know you guys are literally jumping up and down wherever you are because you're just so excited about relational data on blockchains. Literally nobody, but you have to understand some of these techie things are very important to ecosystems. I'm not saying this one is, because I don't fully know everything about this project. I've actually never really heard of this project other than the other day when we did a Bitcoin DeFi. Maybe that's what it was. We've looked at this once or twice before is what I'm trying to say. All right, they got gaming. Those look like some good games. Those don't look like any blockchain games, though. Again, shout out to tomorrow's live stream is GameFi. We're going to be going over the Somnia ecosystem. Somnia was pumping for a while. And what's going to happen with Bitcoin? Will anybody care about Somnia, new layer 1 gaming blockchain in 2 weeks from now if Bitcoin doesn't play ball? So Vector DB laying chain integration. It looks like they're doing a lot of interesting things here. But honestly, some of it feels like a little bit over my head. And you don't hear me say that very often. So, yeah, this seems like a very unique project. The thing about a unique project is it rather is revolutionary and really changes things and is very relevant, or they were trying to do something very specific and nobody really cared. Again, we did talk about how this project has been around for a while. All right, let's back up. And we are rolling into an hour and 45 minutes that we have been live. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have anything they want to drop in the chat? It is Thursday. I'm used to engagement being down a little bit Thursday. You know, it hasn't been very long that the lives have been popping off and we've had all these people in here chatting. It's been so much fun that I don't want to take it for granted. But I definitely notice it being slower on Thursday nights. So Cartesi, that's an interesting one. It's not skip dimensions. Let's take a look at this. And again, we're looking at modular blockchains. If you don't know what a modular blockchain is, throw it in the comment. Just say me. You don't have to say anything crazy. And I'll go back over it for you. But I don't want to go back over it for the people who've been listening if no new people want to know. So this is Dimension. It has $63.3 million in its market cap, an infinite max supply, which immediately puts me on ease. Cosmos, but what is that? Is it its own layer one? Okay, it does say smart contract, modular, so blockchain rollups as a service. This RAAS. All right, we're caught up on chats. So it's osmosis ecosystem. So it's like is it a layer one? It says smart contracts, but I guess it doesn't necessarily make it a layer one. Usually when you see smart contracts, it's its own layer one project, but it says it's in the osmosis ecosystem. So maybe not. Portal dimensions.xyz. Let's go check it out. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. Tell somebody who you know loves crypto about this project. We were just talking about terms of use. I never read them. I just agree to them. I know it's terrible, but nobody has the bandwidth to be reading all of those. You would just not use anything. Anyways, looks pretty interesting. Launch a token. So it's a launch pad for sure in the osmosis ecosystem. Not something you hear about a ton. Potato has got $180,000 in its market cap, and that's fully diluted, so it probably doesn't even have that much money in it. Then you have this launch pad. So this is a token, but this is so you can make your own launch pads on here too. That seems counterproductive. That can't be right. Regular. Why does it say it's a launch pad? Isn't that the day? So you have launch pads, right, that are letting anybody make their own token. But what if you have launch pads that let people make other launch pads, and then people, instead of coming to your launch pad and making a token, they go come to your website, choose a different launch pad that was incubated on your launch pad, and then they launch their own launch pad on there. That just seems ridiculous. Not gonna lie, I really hope they don't do that, because that is just gonna be too many rabbit holes to jump down. I don't know what that means. I don't know how this is its own launch pad. Regular token. Shouldn't it just be a token? Anyways, on par with just about any, I mean, if this doesn't say it on par with any launch pad, you just have the most nonsense stuff like corn with a market cap of $800. Like, why did you bother? Why did you bother doing that? And again, it's on osmosis ecosystem. So like, if you were really hoping that the corn lovers were just really going to come out and support you, why didn't you launch it on Solana? I don't know many people who even know osmosis is a thing. All right, so we covered it. It's a launch pad. That's really what we needed to know there. We talked about a lot of interesting things tonight. Did you know there's 2 different Worthless tokens? Do you know about Worthless connection to the app Moonshot? Do you know what Moonshot is? Reef says the Twilight Zone. Hey, I'm glad you're still here, Reef, and you're listening. That shows me that you're paying attention. It is like the Twilight Zone. I feel that way just with the launch pads that anybody can launch a token. I really like, when it comes to freedoms and rights, I think anybody should be able to launch their own token. Don't get me wrong. But maybe there could be like an application process. There could be some kind of vetting of some sort. Like, are you going to do anything? Are you going to put a picture of corn up? I mean, what? Maybe at like the national, corn convention, that might be where you could shill that. But who else cares about that? Nobody cares about that. Yeah, launchpad on a launchpad in a launchpad. Exactly. And where does it end? Where does it end? And I just think that a lot of these tokens that are being made, like something happens in the world. Maybe it's political, like when we had all those political memes and stuff that people were launching. Joe Biden was one of them, all those different ones. But they don't have the ability. First of all, they're not real projects, and they don't have like a good lifetime. Like, you're hopping in those, you're making some money while people care about that while he was in office. And it didn't even last the whole time he was in office. And then you got to get out of it quick, because it's a good way to make quick money if you're good at catching trends and you're on a platform like a Solana launchpad like Pump.Fun. That would be the better place to do it, where there's some attention. But what purpose does it serve? It's not going to live 10 years from now. Nobody's going to care about that. People probably won't care about it 6 months from now. Anyways, that's enough about that. Cartesi. Cartesi is also a modular blockchain, but what else is it? It's infrastructure. It is a layer 2. It's Binance Launchpad. So another launchpad here. Oh, it's also layer 3. So this thing is everything. It's a smart contract. It's a layer 2. It's also a layer 3. I don't know how you can be a layer 3 and a layer 2. And again, crypto IQ, big brain stuff. What is a layer 3? What is a layer 2? Should know what a layer 1 is, but what's a layer 0? Do you know? YZ Labs. So this is bye. And I mean, Cartesi got tons of steam when it came out. Very interesting project. Very interoperable. Too bad Bufflink's not still here. So Reef said, I use Osmosis and Cosmos ecosystem for a while to farm airdrops and NFTs. And how did you do on that? Farming airdrops and stuff is not something I usually spend a ton of time on personally, trying to farm them. I don't really know what I'm missing out on, just because it's not, there's too many things going on. First of all, there's too many tokens in crypto to own all of them. And then there's too many different airdrops and ecosystems going on all at the same time to be in all of them. And I used to have a lot of hours of working that I didn't have time to do all of that. Now I'm a little bit more freed up, like I talked about earlier. Let's go to their website. I don't know if I've ever been to Cartesi's website. Man, I really love doing this deep dive into research. I would be doing this if anybody was here or not, but I've never been to Cartesi's website. So any code, Ethereum security, build app chain rollups and language libraries and tools you know and love. So start building. Artwork on point. Artwork's on fire here. Artport, whatever that means. So empowering Ethereum rollups with real-world software and strong guarantees. Build with the benefit of Linux. App-specific rollups for real-world scale. A boundless design space for cutting-edge developers. Cartesi virtual machine. The artwork is fire, though. Cartesi rollups support the virtual machine with a RISC-V architecture. I should know what that is, but it's not coming to me. Making it possible to boot Linux, whatever you want to say. I hear people say it different ways, or other mature operating systems. Developers can bring their ideas to life through rich code libraries, programming languages, and open source. That's a really cool idea, actually, because I mean, obviously Linux has been around for a much, much, much longer time than, say, even Ethereum's code, right? So that would definitely onboard developers. How many developers are out there who've been using Python and stuff for forever, and they just don't want to come to crypto and learn? A lot of them would be older people. Maybe they just really are not interested in learning another coding language late in life. So space for exploration, supreme processing power, fully fledged OS, focus and base layer guarantee, inherit security and censorship resistance from Ethereum. I must be getting tired here. Coffee is not working. powerful rollups for real world scale, predictable and stable. Layer 3, so giving us a little explanation here. So you have execution, then you have settlements, you have data availability, and then you have consensus. So execution goes on. Oh, okay. So they're explaining the whole layer 2, layer 3. This is actually pretty cool and useful. So the execution goes on Cartesi. The settlements are going on Optimism and another token. What is the other token? So Arbitrum and Optimism, right? That's the layer 3 part. And then the data availability and the consensus comes from Ethereum. This is where you really start to see the whole modular blockchain really broken down. This is pretty cool, actually. Probably should screen record this. I'm not sure what that would do to the live, but just watching it, it starts to click a little bit more what layer 3 would be. And then also how a modular blockchain would execute. Get inspired, see what others are building. 3 ways to get started. You can build with quick starts. You could say hello in their Discord. That's one way to get started. Or you could just dive into the documents, right? So the Cartesi ecosystem is all of these projects here. Do we recognize any of them? Celestia, which makes a lot of sense because they're also a modular blockchain. Arbitrum. They're moving. I guess I could just stay in one place. Optimism. And that's really all that I catch there. All right. And then they get into some other things they got going on, their meetups and stuff like that. I wonder where they're based out of. So you have one in Spain and one in Argentina. A lot of times projects are meeting up in like Singapore. Stuff like that. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any projects they want me to look at? Let's hop back over to Crypto Bubbles. I know one thing that I really wanted to look at. So here is the daily still. It's going to look pretty much the same. Let's go to the hour. Hour getting a little bit more green and also a little bit more red. So which one is it? What is Bitcoin doing? Still in the same flag that I already had it in. So Reef says base. Do you mean base blockchain, or like you just want to look at base blockchain? Because that's a whole ecosystem, and I'm not really sure what you're asking for. I can look at base for sure. Base is a layer 2, built mostly with Ethereum. Do you mean B3 by chance? That says base. Very interesting how base is not coming up. I mean, base should be easy. It's a layer 2. Let's go to categories. Let's go to L2s as a category. And we will certainly find base there. Just waiting on Reef to give me an answer here. I know there's a delay, so it'll probably take you a minute before you read it. I saw a base icon on Cartesi site just now. Oh, okay. Let's take a look at. Oh, okay. When we were looking at all the different things in their ecosystem. Sorry, there is a delay from what I'm saying to the time that you hear it, all of that stuff. Oh, base. Yep, you were right. Base is right there. Oh, you can click on them. Man, I must be getting tired. It's been a long day. A global economy built for all of us. And usually I usually at least get an hour nap before the stream. So I get up early to do a lot of this content. Spend usually at least two hours in the gym at least. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I'd be exhausted by the time we hit these streams. Yesterday we did 3 hours. But I love it though. I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't know how to like chill. Like the other... I'm just talking now because we're getting close to the end of the stream, or close to wrapping it up, whatever you want to say. But You know, I have another business out of home that I could pour a little more time into, and I'd be good. I wouldn't have to do any of this. But I just don't know how to not go after what I love. Just don't know how to do it. It's not in my DNA. And that's why I built multiple companies, you know? Oh wow, have I never scrolled down on crypto bubbles? That's wild. Are you going to tell me there's a part of crypto bubbles that I have not even looked at yet? Does anybody else ever go to crypto bubbles? Check it out. It's just cryptobubbles.net. But here we are. And it just gives you a breakdown. It's got links and trades and all kinds of different stuff. You got the hour, the day, the month for each project. So like if you wanted to, like say you saw Aster, that's a good one. Of course you can click on Aster and it brings stuff up and you can just switch between the hour and the week. I mean, that's pretty cool. But if you wanted to come down here, you could find Aster. Maybe you could find Aster. I thought it would be up there more. All right, here we are. And you can add it to list. Oh, so you can start lists. Probably put Aster on the list. That would make a lot of sense. And then you could quickly see everything that you wanted to see. And it hasn't even been around long enough to have a monthly value or a yearly value for that matter. But like take a chain like Ondo. It's down on the hour. It's down on the day. It's down bigger on the weekly, but only down 5% on the month. But on the year, it's up 15%. So you could just scroll through this and just look for green. Which project has the most green? What is this right here? OKB. OKP's got a lot of green. It's only negative on the weekly. Obviously, where it's black, there's no data. Reef. Oh, what's up, Brian? What's up, bro? Another one of my really good friends says, hey, do what you love, man. Hey, I appreciate you being here. That's what's up. I did not know you were in here. Reef says, yes, sir, respect. Well, God bless everybody who hops on here. I appreciate everybody who drops a chat. Definitely love seeing Josh on here. Big shout out to him supporting the channel, the community. Like, what time is it? 10 o'clock? Bro, I feel like it's like 1 o'clock in the morning today. I'm telling you, that coffee not working. So what is this? Oh, we went to layer 2s because I was trying to find Coinbase. It was really weird how Coinbase wouldn't come up. Another thing I wanted to look at real quick was Tweet Scout. Now, why are we looking at tweetscout.io? What is it? Well, tweets, where tweets happen. They happen on Twitter. So this is mostly for crypto and Twitter. This is mostly about looking for what is trending, all of that different type of stuff. So we'll go to our Launchpad. I'll launch the app. That's what I meant. And it's changed up. Yesterday, like the most trending thing was, maybe I just in the wrong place here, was Lighter, which I just did a video on. And how do I get back to it? So today it's talking about Athens, Saga Lab. Okay, so Lighter is a little bit more down the list. I'm not sure if these are supposed to be in order of something though. Order of score maybe? Yeah, not in order of score. Like this has an order like a score of 67. Lighter has like 1,132. So definitely not in order there. But I really do like this as far as looking at what is going on. Like right here, you see Kate Voss. I probably should know who that is, but I have no idea who they are. And they have a higher score than Lighter. So this can be like influencers in crypto. It could be project pages on Twitter, all that good stuff. And then you can even come down here to their social graph. You can throw VCs in there. No idea what it means. You can put projects and influencers in there, and then you could hover over it at any point, and it gives you all the data that I really have no idea what it means. It just says like 21 VCs. So there's 21 different VCs following them, or 21 VCs involved with the project. I have absolutely no idea. Still trying to get to know this better. They want to sell you a premium. I ain't buying it. At least not at this point. It could be like $2 and I could be an idiot for not buying it, but that's okay. I'll check that out at another point. So yeah, we want to go to what's trending. Apparently that's where we were. I don't know how could Athens be trending more than Lighter when they've picked up 2.5 thousand followers and Athens picked up 90. And they have a very low security level. Athens is an open source tool for metacognition and non-line or our knowledge work. Very interesting. Contemporary art gallery, pioneering in generative and AI art scan scenes since 2017. Okay. I mean, with a name like Kate Voss, I mean, that sounds like an artist. Either way, everybody have a great night. Hop in that Discord. Say what's up. Tell me how you got into crypto. All that good stuff. Like, share, subscribe. If you know some people who love crypto, point them in our direction. Have them stop by and check out the channel. Check out my video on Lighter. I'm putting together the next video for Lighter. There's a great interview with a great quantum investor who's very much trusted in the TradFi, the old money and ways of economy, I guess. And he did an interview with the founder, Vladimir Novakovsky, hopefully I'm saying that right, of Lighter. Lighter is a perpetual DEX that's getting really a lot of attention. The token's not out yet. That's what we're trying to be on top of. We want to be the first to know when that token's going to be live. I'm going to do a video that's separate on the airdrop, which is really a points reward farming on the actual, you get on their actual product, which is a decentralized exchange, and you make some trades and you do some stuff, but they're in a private beta, so you can't just go to the website and get in. How do you get in? That'll be in the third video. So I got to get the second video out of the way so that I can get the third video, which is what everybody probably wants. Stay underground, stay crypto. The secret to success, like Lifer always says, is getting started. Maybe on my 100th video, I will have the catchy punchline worked out and I'll nail it at the end of every stream. But it won't be today. And yeah, everybody have a good night. And hope Bitcoin doesn't continue to dump too much. Crypto Ron out.